Hey everybody, it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite affordable things. I was 59 on my last birthday, and after working since I was 18 and constantly making myself better and better and better as far as my work goes, as far as my appearance goes, I suddenly found myself not working a little earlier than I planned. Sort of brought me to this place where I'm 59 and holding, and I am on a much more, shall we say, oh, we'll just call it a beer budget versus a champagne budget. Okay, yeah. It's actually been kind of an amazing journey of discovery because I'm a little bit appalled at myself for falling into the high-end beauty trap. I started to buy high-end things when I was in my 20s and working in a department store. And I got sucked into that. And believe me, I love high-end stuff. High-end stuff is wonderful. Like, I don't have a qualm about high-end stuff except for the cost. Now that I pretty much can't do the high-end things and I've been buying the drugstore things, I have been pleasantly surprised that drugstore has upped its game over the years, unbeknownst to me because I didn't give it a chance. Drugstore is catching up. And also going to talk about some interesting things. I feel like I need to talk about things that are more interesting than just makeup, because I got things to say. I got ideas. I got opinions. Maybe I should put them out there. I've done some videos about color correcting because you can go and you can buy every high-end concealer on the planet, but if you have dark circles, color correction is where you can save yourself a lot of pain and a lot of frustration by simply going after the color correction. So if you've got dark circles under your eye, you can cancel them by using either a peach or an orange concealer. I'm going to use my drugstore color corrector that I have today. This is the L'Oreal True Match color corrector. This is orange and it's a shade, if you're looking for it, it's a shade 403. Oftentimes I will apply it directly on the dark circles depending on how bad they are. Today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to add a little bit to my finger. This is very creamy and it works really well for a drugstore product. So I just plop a little bit on there to correct that mess. Just tap it in there. That area around your eyes is so thin and it can look so crepey that handling the under eye area is just, it's so important not to over handle it or be aggressive. So just be really gentle there. Some people will put their concealer on first. I don't do that. I will put my foundation over the top. Covergirl plus Olay Simply Ageless foundation. This stuff is wonderful. It covers well just on its own. Oh my gosh. This is fabulous. It has skincare in there. You know, I found that it doesn't oxidize after I've used it. It doesn't settle in things. It's just, this is nice. This shade, medium light. I'll take like a fluffy end brush like this and pick it up with my brush. And then I'll just start in under my eyes. Okay, so as I said earlier, I'm gonna talk about something. I'm gonna try to talk about interesting things today. I love to learn about, I like to know what makes people tick and how they end up where they are as far as how the decisions they make. It's sort of like my amateur hobby, I guess, is to pay attention to these things and study these things and just try to figure these things out, and you know how crimes are solved. I just love to watch, you know, forensic. I'm going to take this sponge. This is a Farmasi brand beauty sponge here. Tapping that around my face a little bit. I just put a little around my face. I'm trying, you know, less is more, but I started under my eyes because I want to cover those. Not only do I want to cover the dark circles, I obviously want to cover, you know, that orange concealer, and as you can see, it covered it really well. And those dark circles are pretty well gone. So, drugstore. Yeah, baby. I used to just watch Forensic American Justice. I love that stuff. I like to know how. I love the whole justice system. When I was in college, my master's program, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this. My master's program was criminal justice. I didn't finish it. I regret that, sort of. I went into that because when I was in college, one of the things that we did, we would go to jails and we would go to detention centers for children, you know, juvenile detention centers. And I would hear these stories. How did they end up committing the crimes that they committed? How did their lives end up in that place? To be honest with you, I would cry when I would go in there and I would hear the stories from these kids. And I've always been like a defender of the underdog, I guess you could say. It breaks my heart when I think about kids, especially. They don't have a chance, you know, the cards they've been dealt with however they're raised or how their parents behave. Or it breaks my heart that kids grow up in homes believing they're not loved, or they're exposed to substance abuse and physical abuse and just all these terrible things. It just breaks my heart to no end. And I wanted to get into that field so that I could make a difference or do something about it, you know? It turns out, side note, it turns out I didn't have the stomach for it. The more deep diving we did into juvenile crime and, you know, the background of these kids, it was so sickening and hard. I couldn't mentally process it, so I decided not to pursue that. But anyway, it's still very interesting to me. So while I'm talking, it usually takes me longer to put my makeup on, I'm sorry. So have you been paying attention to, her name is Sidney Powell? If you don't know who she is a I think she's 23 years old now, was a very good student in high school. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling and get to the point. Lived in the same house, in the same town, in the same city her whole life. Her parents aren't divorced. I mean, she comes from what would be a normal home life. And before I go on, I'm getting ready to use this Colorstay Skin Awakening 24-hour 5-in-1 concealer in Universal Brighten. I'm gonna put this on my eyelids and use it for a primer. This is lovely. This is a really amazing drugstore. I love it. It's a really nice concealer. I'm very impressed with this concealer. So I just put a little bit on the back of my hand and just gonna grab my concealer brush. So back in 2020, and she was apparently 19 years old at this point, and she was going to college and she was failing. She was trying to hide it from her parents. I mean, she was really apparently very scared for her parents to know that she was failing, that she was flunking out of college. She had a scholarship and her grades obviously depended on that. The walls started closing in on her. She basically got expelled from school and she had to get out of the dorm, and she wasn't leaving the dorm. And the school had to, you've got to go, you have to leave. She was panicking. She was going to amazing lengths to cover up the fact that she'd been kicked out of school. She was going so far as to continuing to stay in the dorm even though she had to leave. Apparently was staying in some hotels. She was going to the library during the day, and her parents could tell where she was, and they would see her at the library all the time. And she said she had a job at the library. And of course, here's the thing, I certainly understand the pressure of not wanting to disappoint your parents and failing or feeling like a failure, but the lengths that she went to cover this up was astounding. And her mother was on to her. Her mother knew something wasn't quite right. All right, so I've got that on my lids. This is the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer, this wand, and I like to use it to get rid of the shadows from my nose to my mouth. When the walls had finally closed in to where she couldn't hide it any longer, she had to go home. When she got home, the dean, I think it was the dean's office, I'm not sure exactly, but the school called to talk to her parents. Her mom was there and answered the phone, and the school, the people from the leadership at school were getting ready to tell her something, and all of a sudden, while they were on the phone, they heard a thud and some screaming, and then the mom was no longer on the line anymore. And of course, they were alarmed by that. Don't quote me on this, I'm just kind of going by memory, but I don't know if the phone, I don't know if someone at the house hung up the phone or what, but they called back, and Sydney Powell, the daughter, answered the phone and pretended to be her mother. And they said, Sydney, this doesn't sound like your mom, it sounds like you. So she hung up. Well, the people at the school were alarmed enough to where they called the police. What had happened was, while they were on the phone with her mother was on the phone with the school, she put her mom with a frying pan and then her like 30 some odd times in the neck. Because she didn't want her mom to find out about her flunking out of school. Like, what happened there? What happened there? I'm just curious. What happened? These are things that I'm just like, oh, what happened? So the police came because, of course, they were called, and Sydney went into
right here. I have a little bad going on.
So she heard the police coming, and she went into another lie mode, and she got hysterical, and she told the police that there was a break-in. Of course, they found her mother there on the floor, bleeding and dying, and she ended up dying at the hospital shortly after. So this girl, Sydney, was arrested. She pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Not bad for makeup on the cheap. Not bad. All right, so the trial's been going on for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks maybe. This was $2.95. I got it at Ulta. This is Essence Soft and Precise Lip Pencil. It's in the shade Legendary, and I like to use this to contour my nose. So that's what I'm gonna do as I continue to talk about this. So yesterday, the jury found her guilty. Her insanity plea did not work, and so she's been out on bail for 3 years, and yeah, since 2020 she's been out on bail, so she didn't have to spend any time in jail. Her dad, her grandma, her family members were very adamant about not having her charged with these crimes. I mean, her father even went as far as to say, why are we doing this? I have to wonder about what's going on with that. I understand loving your children. I get that. Who wants to see their kid in jail, right? How horrific to have your child murder your wife and the mother of your children. How horrific to have your grandchild daughter and her family. It's like they were very vigorously advocating for her not to have to go to prison for this. So I do understand that because I am a mom, but it's kind of astounding to me that the dad would actually have the question, why are we doing this? He literally was like not understanding why they were going to press charges on her when he didn't want charges pressed. If you got somebody coming in your house and beating you up, you have the choice whether you want to press charges against that person for what they did. But if they that's when law enforcement decides for you whether somebody's going to go to prison. That's when law enforcement steps in and says, yeah, no, we're actually going to make a decision here to press charges against this person. Very strange dynamic that she went so far as to feel like she had to kill her mother to keep from being found out. Like, what happened there? Unfortunately, these kind of things happen in society. You got kids killing their parents, you got parents killing their kids. It's really a sicko society that we have going on right now, but I won't get into that. What would cause a child to feel like they have to kill their mom or a parent so they didn't get found out, so that they didn't find out about their grades or that they were flunking out of college? I mean, I'm sure the consequences would have really sucked, and she probably, I don't know what her parents would have done. I have no idea. I did not live in that house, and I'm not even going to pretend that I know. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not like, why would somebody go to that extreme? That's the question I have, and that's why I'm bringing this up. The whole thing is very sad. The defense mental health experts were saying that she had schizophrenia, but the mental health expert for the prosecution basically said that she had some borderline personality traits as well as some malingering, which means she was faking a lot of her stuff, trying to get out of trouble. There was enough of a forensic evidence trail to see in her conversations, in her texts, and with other witnesses that, you know, were with her during that time, that she was not schizophrenic. So that didn't work, and the jury didn't buy it. So this is a Farmasi foundation brush, and I like to use it to finish off the contour on my nose. When you've got something like this that is so absolutely tragic and so beyond painful, imagine him going back in his mind over and over, like, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Imagine how he feels. And then you know, this is out there on YouTube and out on the internet, and you've got all these armchair quarterbacking, really scolding and criticizing. And I mean, I get where that comes from. I understand that this is a very horrible thing. It's a very, very, very bad thing that happened. But to just skewer these people with nasty comments and these opinions, I mean, literally all we have to go by is what we saw in court. And we just don't know, honestly. And I find it to be very sad and very tragic. Now, personally, I didn't believe that she was insane and that she should be found guilty of the murder. Absolutely. I don't know. Just the whole thing is just really sad. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna set this with this e.l.f. Perfect Finish or HD powder. I got a package of 4 of these at Dollar Tree for $1.25, these little mini beauty sponges, and they're wonderful for setting your makeup. I just kind of roll it and press it in there. So it's just sad. No winners here. You got a mom that's gone. Nobody's perfect in their parenting. You have to wonder, what happened? How could this have been prevented? I don't know, because it is a very extreme thing to feel like you've got to kill one of your parents. Just, I was thinking about when I was growing up. I had a kind of a scary mom. She had, yeah, I'll just put it out there. She was a little scary. So I remember doing a few things that I was scared that she would find out when I was really little. And of course, when you're really little, you're not very good at covering things up. So here we go. Let's talk about some psychology here. I had very long hair when I was little. My hair was sort of my mother's prize for some reason. She was sort of obsessed with my long hair. When I was in 1st or 2nd grade, I remember brushing my hair, my long hair, and getting my hair caught in the hairbrush, really tangled up in that hairbrush, and was scared to tell my mom that my hairbrush was caught in my hair. Okay, that's not normal. Why would a child be scared to tell their mom that a hairbrush is caught in their hair? I was, for some reason. So I did the absolute worst thing I could to cover up my crime of having my hairbrush caught in my hair. I went and I took a pair of scissors and I hid under this little cubby, and I cut the brush out with scissors. And my goal was that I would wake up in the morning and tell my mom my hair fell out. That was really brilliant. But why would I do that? I mean, let's think about this. Why would I be scared to tell my mom that I cut my hair? Well, even as a 6 or 7-year-old child, even as that young of a child, I knew, I mean, I'm an adult now, so I can sort of, you know, piece together clearly why I would think that. But, you know, I definitely apparently had enough information processing in my little brain to know that it wasn't safe to tell her that I had got the hairbrush caught in my hair. So I did something a lot worse. I woke up in the morning. I told my mom that my hair fell out. The wrath that fell upon me, this little girl, the wrath for me cutting my hair was absolutely, it was not normal. It was, there's no way that there's, you know, what ended up happening as a result of that was absolutely, shouldn't have happened. Needless to say, I got in a lot of trouble, and I went to school with my hair. My mom took the scissors and she cut it all off, and she's screaming and yelling, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I got the business end of her, you know, corporal punishment. And I went to school absolutely devastated, ashamed, just absolutely devastated about this. Oh, it was bad. It really gave me the impression for years that somehow my hair was wrapped up in whether I was a good person or a bad person. Isn't that crazy? If I had long hair, my mom was happy. If I cut it short, she wasn't happy. You can really ruin a child by overreacting to things that do not matter. And so I got over that, and I like my long hair now, but let me tell you, if I want to cut it short, I'll be cutting it short, thank you. Anyway, so that's what happened to me. Not once growing up, when I still was subject to these crazy outbursts over stupid things, did I ever think about my mom, ever. I never thought of that. I'm probably gonna have to bleep out the word. That wasn't on my radar. That never occurred to me. Anyway, KAB Cosmetics. This palette doesn't belong to me. This belongs to one of my friends, and she let me use it. It is a beautiful eyeshadow palette. This is the Night and Day palette. No, it's called Day and Night. I've never heard of this before. I looked it up. This is a beauty company that's strictly online. It's 3 girls that it's KAB is the initials for the first letter of their names. I can't remember what it is right now. But this is a really beautiful palette, and I thought that I would use it today for my eyeshadow. This is not drugstore, but it's not really department store either. This palette is $52 if you were gonna pay for it. So obviously it's not, a cheap palette. Before I go any further, this is my favorite lip gloss, favorite NYX Butter Gloss. I'm just gonna use basically 3 basic colors, basic application. I'm gonna take this it Cosmetics Travel Eyeshadow Brush, and I'm gonna start with this shade here. It's called Naked. I'm gonna sweep that over my whole eye. So we never know. We never know what is going on in somebody's life. We don't know what's going on in their home. Things can look like they're just ducky, and then crap like this happens. So I don't know if she just wasn't taught coping skills. I don't know if she was babied. I don't know what happened, and I'm not here to judge her personality or why she did it or anything like that. The fact that she did do it and she was found guilty in court is good enough for me. Although if she wasn't found guilty, I would have been mad. That's my problem. She was.
Just very, very, very sad.
What her family has had to deal with and what they're dealing with now is just unimaginable. So I'm a big one for extending mercy and not criticizing the daylights out of these people that are already in a lot of pain. All right, so the next color I'm gonna use, I'm gonna go in with this purple, this halo here. See if it matches my lipstick a little. I'm gonna start right above the crease. I listened to the dad's testimony and read some of the things that he said. Like some of the things he said were just weird to me. But of course he did not want his daughter in prison. So he was, I'm sure, trying to protect her in his testimony. I'm a little bit stuck with the whole, why are we doing this when it comes to prosecuting his daughter? That's odd to me, but that's okay. I mean, who knows? I don't know how I would act if that happened. I don't know. I don't want to harm these people worse with my opinions that really don't matter. What I think doesn't matter. I'm gonna take, this is actually a concealer brush from Farmasi, but I'm gonna use that to go in my inner corner because I don't think I have a good enough brush to get in there and do what I want it to. I always make kind of a big mess. So, all right, what am I gonna use? I'm gonna go in with this shade here. It's called Cocoa. I'm gonna be very careful, just my crease. And then down here. I need to watch more tutorials, but I need to get some good brushes so I can, because I have a concept of how to apply and where to apply the color, but when I'm actually placing the color is where I fall down a little bit. And like I'm trying to deposit color there, and sometimes it skips, And I don't know if it's the brush or my skill, I don't know. But it would be nice to have, you know, good brushes. You don't have to, you know, I've seen that you don't have to spend a lot of money on brushes. You know, I'd just like to get some that have just the right angle, just the right density for where I'm applying. I'm gonna blend that in a minute. I'm gonna go over to this other side and see if I can do the same thing. I always give the disclaimer that I'm not a makeup artist, so you don't have high expectations. I love watching makeup application videos. I love learning from people that know more than me, but I try to stay away from the comparison trap, you know, comparing myself not only to somebody else's skill, or you know, they have good lighting and they've got good brushes and they've got all this really high-end, wonderful, beautiful stuff, or they're younger. I try to stay away from that. You know, I don't like camping in the comparison, although it's hard sometimes. Okay. I tend to go for palettes that have more neutral shades because I'm not very bold and daring and gutsy at these things. You know, you're not going to see me anytime soon doing winged eyeliner looks. Nah, I like that. I think that's pretty. Go back into this light shade that I just used. And then what I'll do is I will just go up the side of my eye and sort of clean it up, and so that where I might have dragged it down will just get lifted up a little bit more. You can always fix it. And then I'm going to go back up here a little, give it a little more lift. I'm going to take this Bare Essentials full edged liner brush. This is really nice. It's very soft and precise, and I'm going to dip it in here again. Right here. So I'm thinking about, I love shimmer, and I don't know if I should just leave this alone, but I love shimmer. And there's some shimmer shades here, but I'm not sure. Oh, what the heck, let's go for the shimmer. I don't know what brush this is. I think it came in a kit. I think it came from Target, but I don't have a name for it, so it's just a dual end shadow brush. And I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna dip it in, this is called Sunset, and I'm going to pick up some of that there. Not super shimmery, but I like it. Okay. This is an unbelievable find. Oh my gosh. Essence Lash Prowess. I think this was like $4. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe this mascara. I'm not even gonna curl my eyelashes. I'm just gonna put it on by itself. It is a great mascara. $4, people. I love it. All right, so let's start at the base of my lashes. Go upward, and it's already, just with a few strokes, it's already lifting my lashes. Crazy. $4. Holy smokes. Unbelievable. This is just one coat. One coat. Fabulous. I'm going to slightly, I'm going to use this NYX Wonderstick dual end face shaper. This has a highlight end, and it has a contour end, and I don't usually use this as a bronzer, but I'm trying to stay within my favorite budget things, except for the eyeshadow, of course. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna place a little product on the back of my hand. And I'm gonna use this to warm up my face like I would a bronzer, even though it's more of a contour shade. I think I'm gonna use this stipple brush. This is a Real Technique stipple brush. I'm just gonna pick it up there. Stipple brushes are nice because there's enough density, but it's kind of spread out a little bit, so you can get really good placement. So, all right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and use this and warm up my face as though I were doing a contour, but not really. This is my non-MUA attempt at this. Fun. Makeup is fun. Okay. Warming it up, warming. I prefer cream products to powder pretty much any day of the week. I'm going to line my arsenal with some cream product. On more mature skin, AKA old lady face. That's a joke, you know, that's a joke. For all you, just in case y'all are wondering, that's a joke. It's a joke. Had a little interruption there. So the, oh, here comes the noise. The next thing I'm gonna do, and I'll be all done, is I'm gonna take this Wet n Wild blush. You can see that it's gotten some nice use out of it. Very loved. This is Mulled Wine. And I'm gonna take this B-Stope angled blush brush, and I am going to place it gently so it's not stripy and looks tacky. Just gonna gently place it. Wet n Wild. Who'd have thought such inexpensive cosmetics can look so pretty? All right, I'm all done. Pretty happy with that. Drugstore face for my mature skin. For my old lady face. All right, you guys, thanks for watching.